much.
Jim, never want to pass up the chance of thanking people like you though for your work.
Well, appreciate that, and thank you for thanking us.
It's a great service, it really
You
is.
know, we try to do, all of the volunteer departments in
Right.
Lincoln County, try to do as much as they can with what they have to do with. Is it greatest, you know, not, probably
And
not.
our job here is to make sure you have as much as we can give you to do with.
Yeah,
So,
we,
that's what
and
we
you've
do.
been very good at that. The fire levy has really taken the burden off of us, and training has increased countywide because there's only so many hours in a day, and hours you're not spent selling hot dogs or standing in the middle of the road for food is an hour you can spend something more beneficial. So, but we thank the commission for that.
Thank you, Jim. All right, next we have Howard Farley from the Hearts Community Center.
Thank you guys for all you've done up there. That's the main thing. But we, the board has been putting an apartment out there for the deputy. Everybody knows about that. Well, they came up, they needed $2,300 to put the carpeting. Well, they said they'd take care of that themselves, okay? But we've been getting volunteer work, been doing a lot of volunteer as much as we can, getting material volunteered as much as we can. The board has at the community center. So they said, could we help them with 2 dugouts?
So are they the one coming up with the 2,300 for the?
They did.
Okay, okay.
They already took care of that.
All right.
That's already been ordered and it's being installed. Well, it's supposed to be installed shortly. The 2 dugouts on the field, baseball and softball dugouts, the roofs are in bad shape. They need to be replaced, not the whole roof, just the sheeting and shingles. All right, we have 2 buildings out back. One of them is where we house our lawnmower for the community center, tools. The whole back side of it is rotted out. Then you have the little gas meter house, and the roof is bad on it. We would like, if you guys would help us to put roofs on those.
How much you think it will cost?
I had a guy to come and measure and give an estimate, but he never got there in time.
Talking about plywood and tar paper?
Yes, plywood and shingles.
Shingles?
Shingles, yeah, that's what's on them now. He said he wouldn't give us a price on if you wanted to put 10 on. He said, I'll price it both ways, but I'm not saying he's gonna get it. All I was doing was getting a favor from him to give us an estimate on about what it would cost. You know what I'm saying? I'd be afraid to say, I'm gonna say 1,500, maybe 2,000. I don't know that. It may be cheaper, I don't know. You know, that's just a figure in my head. The State Department, Jared Dean came down, met with us again Tuesday, and the lady from Lowe's met with us. They are really interested in farmers market, just like me and Doc Manson talked before about co-ops at the community center through the school or what have you. Lowe's is really interested in helping us build raised beds at the community center. Jared Dean from the state, he says that he can come with, he thinks that he can get someone to come and put a farmer's market in our community center for 80-20. They get 80%, we get 20%, and everything would have to come from West Virginia, the produce. What we said was, we think it would be good in that sense to do that. That would get us started, and then if we wanted to look for a piece of property on Route 10, that would give us a feel about what it would do there, because we could tailgate it in the parking lot if people wanted to sell produce and say area farmers. I think we could get a feel about what we're going to do. But a lot of it relies on the purchase of the property that goes around, that you know that the sewer's going to be on the left-hand side and you have a bottom on the right-hand side. We would like to use the bottom on that side for raised beds like a community garden, plus we got people wanting to write grants to put a walking trail in. And this walking trail, we hope would not interfere with the ball field at all, like they had before. Before they had one on the ball field. If you was playing ball out there, you couldn't walk the walking track. I think we can put one in now because Billy Aggins and a few more is really wanting it. They're willing to write the grants to get the grants, because he says there's a $25,000 grant out there that he thinks that he could get. So, just trying to catch up. And Rick was telling me that the governor approved our, we put in for 9 new computers. And he approved it today, right, Rick?
For our computer.
For our computers.
Computer lab.
For our computer lab, which will be in the library up there.
The property you're talking about is still the same property we've talked about before, so we don't have to buy additional property. Still the
Exactly, same thing. It's the same thing that we could use in many ways.
Yes.
Because the old sewer system out back, and Rick McDowell, he knows all about it.
He knows his sewer systems.
Well, many's been out there enough. They've got, what, they're called sand filters, right, Rick?
Yes.
They've got 7 sand filters, or probably 8 by what, 4?
That's, yeah, maybe a little bigger.
Maybe a little bigger. The Lowe's lady and Jared Dean, they would like to make raised beds out there. Out of those 7, it's got a fence already around it. They said, why not use it? It'll be space that you could use.
They're already fertilized.
Already fertilized, that's right. But we want to thank the county commission for getting it in the shape that it's in now. The roof is not leaking, and it's you know, it's doing good.
Well, I want
It
to
really
thank
is.
you guys, I mean, because, you know, we can appropriate the money for the roof and all that, but, you know, whenever you're looking at, you go down, you have a game room, you know, you're working on a walking track, you know, you're trying to get, you know, set up some high tunnels, some raised beds. That's a big deal, having a community garden.
And I really think when he's talking about the state helping us, that's Commissioner Helming's office. is
yes,
helping us.
Yes.
He's very personally committed to it too.
When he came down, he told Jared when he was leaving in the parking lot, he told Jared, he said, I want to do something for this community. So that's a big plus. I mean, that's a plus. And the part that the school owns, behind the visitors dugout, there's a bottom. It's small, but they could be like if the middle school wants to get involved, that'd be a perfect place for them to put in a raised bed out there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
To teach the kids at the school.
Oh, yeah.
I think it would be great myself.
Sounds in that?
Yeah, because, you know, Chattanville, most of our kids goes up there, and they don't have anything. They don't have greenhouses, they don't have any FFA, they don't have anything like Lincoln has.
Well, I'll tell you what, I appreciate it, I really do.
Thank you, guys.
And if you don't, whenever you get the estimates for the roofs of the dugouts,
Yeah.
different things, if you don't care, shoot them to Mary.
Do you want me to get 3 just to save time, or do you just wait, how you want to
Well, I
do
mean,
it?
it's under, here's the thing, it's under $2,000. I think the law states if it's under 5,000, then it's gonna be 3 verbal. If it's under 2,500, I can't remember exactly. Get as many as you can, but I
This
think
is
it's
what I
verbal.
wanted. This is what I mean, save money.
Yeah.
I believe we get a lot of labor, maybe all of it, volunteer. You know what I'm saying? But just the material cost is what we'd probably be looking at.
Well, if you don't care, just get, I think three verbally. I think a verbal commitment of this is how much it's gonna cost for this, and give it to Mary, and that would be fine.
Okay,
I think that's within the bounds of the law.
all right. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. All right. We don't have anyone else that signed in. Is there anybody else who would like to speak? That's what I figured. I saw you there.
I'm here just to represent my wife, since she's in the hospital and couldn't make it.
What's wrong with Doris?
She started getting like blurred vision in one eye. She lost her equilibrium. She was walking around like a drunk person. She must have found that stash I had. And her jaw started swelling up, so she went over to the doctor's office, and the woman looked at her and said, didn't like the symptoms, sent her to the hospital, emergency room, long story short, she's been in there for 2 days and they still don't know what's going on. But you just wanted me to bring those flyers about that health fair
Yes.
and to thank the commission for running the ad in the paper.
Well, we appreciate it. Appreciate you coming and letting us know. I like selling card doors. Mary, what you selling card doors?
Which hospital is she in?
Where's she
What
at?
hospital is she in?
The one in Canal City.
CAMC Memorial.
CMC Moore. All right. Now, is there anyone else who'd like to speak? David?
I sort of wanted some answers yet, I guess. If possible. More than likely, I guess you all tell me, but.
We, of course, we was kind of instructed the prosecuting attorney to kind of conference with you to see if you know, the documents that you have and the case that you have would be suited for our particular court. And the prosecuting attorney, Mr. Gabart, he came in, and I don't know, were you there?
Yeah, I was,
He was there, and correct me if I'm wrong, because he said that, that your case is basically more suited for the circuit court, not the county court. And because I think the way Mr. Gayhart explained it to me is that the county court takes care of, correct me if I'm wrong, exonerations, wills, estates, different things like that upon probate, and
appoint the fiduciary
And we-
commissioners for that.
we appoint the fiduciary commissioners for those. I think he felt that it wouldn't be in your best interest if we would rule on something that would actually be something that the circuit court would have to rule on. Because we are a lower court than the circuit court. And basically, and I don't know what he said to you, I mean, I know that you all had a meeting, but I don't know exactly what he said. But, I mean, this is what he was this is what he told me, and Doc Vance was there. That this case needs to be taken to circuit court to be worked
Yeah.
out.
Yeah.
Or you don't have to take it necessarily up there. Or you could change venues and you could take it to a circuit court, maybe in Boone County, to get relief. But that's basically what his recommendation was to us. As far as legally, what we would be able to do is nothing. It falls with a higher court because it's not in our framework, in our jurisdiction. But
So if you've been there,
But that's one of the reasons it's not in
And
our
you've been there.
jurisdiction, is if you've been to circuit court, you've already went above this court. And so we can't change what the circuit court does. It's the way I understand it, anyway, the way he
that's
explained it to us.
how he explained it.
well, but I do think you all do hold jurisdiction over each office that is in there, such as the assessor's office, such as Mr. Baker's office,
As far-
such as the county clerk's office.
As far as that goes, as far as
So-
the relationship that we have with the county clerk or the assessor, we're co-employers for them. As far as what the county clerk does, the county clerk, he has an elections division, and he performs tasks that we don't necessarily do, but what we do is we're able to, we set budgets and we are co-employers with him. And the same thing with the assessor. Not necessarily that we run their office. They are a independent office all to themselves.
In fact, there's a lot of case law over what you can tell these different departments to do and not do. And basically what we do is allocate monies to those offices. Once they go into those offices, it's totally up to the direction of the head of that office, what he does with it and how he runs his office. And, you know, I know you think we got more power than we do, but basically the way the law is, we set the budget, we give them the monies they tell us they need to work with, and then they have to do their job. I mean, we can't really direct them. Now, if they're breaking the law, it's one thing, you know, if anybody does, it's one thing, but when you talk
Well,
about.
the law's been broke so many times against me that I don't even.
Well, and I think that's even more reason.
Because, I mean, let me say this. I paid $18,000 for 3 tracts of land. 52 acres. I did my deed search, my abstract, should have had 48.9 acres. I sold a 20 acre, I surveyed out an 8.68 acre, a 10.62 acre within fence. And you know what? It just, it don't make no difference. It's encroached upon. So, as I told you the last time, less than 10 acres. And also a lawsuit that I had against me. And for $50,000 compensatory and $50,000 punitive damage. And so you can't get this through up here. One man came to court up there and we had witnesses. I have a paper here, Buddy McClure estimated $6,800 for damages to my driveway. It's destroyed. Go up there and look at my property. I bought it in '86. There's not a driveway up on that hill till you can get to that house up on the hill. And so, I've been to court. I got a $9,000 judgment against Merle Manning, which is in Texas. Jonathan Peterson Johnson is the one that destroyed my driveway. They lingered this on for over 2 years. My wife back there and my daughter climbed up over rock cliffs to carry groceries up to this. I'd had my first back surgery. It's not easy doing that stuff. You know?
David, I think.
Look here. There is mine between track 1 and track 2. That man did something every week, built a fence across it, drove metal spikes in it, rolled up old barbed wire that was 80 to 100 years old and rolled it out, looked like it was a war zone. I hope everybody can see that. My driveway, I built it in 1986. 9 years later, I did fine for 8 years, and 9 years later, and I'm gonna call it like it is. A drug hippie from New York comes down here and don't do nothing. His wife actually works at the Postal Service, and he can do anything he wants to do. I'm not saying. So how far do you go? Where's justice? I mean, if you got justice, you got law, where's it at? Let me say this other part. There was a guy who came to my house about less than 18 months ago. The guy brought him up there. Some guy had sold him a set of torches and supposed to bring him to the tanks the next day. He said his name was David Lutford. So the guy brings him up to my house. He said, "That's not the guy that sold him that tanks." So the guy says, "What about your son? Is he named that?" I said, "Yeah." He goes up there. He said, "That's not the person that sold me those tanks." Now, there's other things that's going on with that stuff too, like that. So here's my point of view right now. If you all want them deeds, there they are. As Mike Hatfield said, you just want me to do something to get me in trouble? I'm not that type of person. I'm not that type of person. And the law, if I need them there, they ain't gonna get there. They won't come. Let me say this before a bunch of people hearing this. This is ridiculous. I had a person come in my house, call the law on me and my family, and they come. See that little boy right there? This is what it's all about. It ain't about trees. It ain't about driveways. It ain't about houses. It ain't about roads, gravel, dirt. Took my free gas. Hey, you done took everything, but I'll be darned if somebody's gonna take my kid and give it to somebody like Kaylee Anthony case in Florida. So there's more to this stuff than you all, that meets the eye. You do wills, you do surveys. Larry Keith Aggins was killed September of 1996. Lincoln County Courthouse did real good in 96, 97, and 98. And there's the death certificate. I adopted his granddaughter because they were thrown on the street. Debbie Huffman comes down here before you county commissioners, or county commissioners, it's up to you all where you all here in 96 or not. It don't make no difference to me, but you deal with this stuff. So here's what happens. She comes as if she has a will. Debbie Huffman and Betty Hodge is the one that notarizes. You know what was took from Kimberly Nicole Aggins and Scott Aggins? $8,000 cash money was took off him on the head-on collision at Sod. Took to the girlfriend at the house, gave him the cash. I sent Dodie, my daughter, after Nikki, because she was at camp. $8,000 there, $348,000 in the trucking checking account, $285,000 with stuff over there at the farm, and 10 coal trucks, tractors, and I had the paper stalled. You know what? I got in this right here, Scott Aggins, a son, was a warrant against him for buying a pizza, and he didn't have the money to cover the pizza. Out of all that money, over $1.5 million for the money. So here I am spending my money out. Spending my money out. Here's pictures of a brand new dozer they sold. Truck, trailer, no.
David,
And he don't, I'm not a threat to you kids. I call you as kids, you know
no,
why?
I know that.
Because I study history and science. And you may not like what I'm saying. And the last, just give me one more minute.
Okay.
The last time I was here, as I saw people sitting here, he sat in that seat. When you called for me to come up here, he jumped up and stood there. If you all want me to do something wrong, you are just doing at the wrong area. Now, you can laugh about it, officer,
I don't.
but I've been through bad times. Let me say one other thing. For over a year and a half, because of that kid. It wasn't nobody else in this room shot at in December of 2013. It was me. It wasn't none of the rest of us. I don't need to live there. I can't live there. My wife can't live there. Because that man from New York was supposed to burn that house with me in it.
David,
And so,
I was gonna ask you, if you wanna get relief from what we have been counseled to do, and if you're not satisfied with the court upstairs, the best way to do is to seek another court. And that's the best advice that I have. I wouldn't tell you wrong. No one would tell you wrong anyway, and you know that.
they made my deed obsolete, my deed's no good, my surveys are no good, and the last time I came, I brought you the tax. Right? I paid all my taxes. I don't think anybody else would put it up, that's what I put up with. I don't, and you know what? If I had to change myself back about 28 years ago, he wouldn't have lasted very long.
Well,
And
listen,
I could have done it with my bare hands.
I know. Well, listen, I appreciate you coming by, and that's the best information that we have. And, if you would like to seek relief that way, then, please do.
I
Okay?
can't afford it.
You know, those things you mentioned happened, you were all wrong, if they happened like they said they were.
They did.
None of the things you mentioned, though, can we do anything about here. Those are law enforcement issues, those are circuit
My
court.
surveys, my no trespassing signs was torn down 17 years ago.
And
And
that's,
they were torn down again
But-
September the 30th.
but that is a problem that you have to address with law enforcement. We have no say
Well, I just
so.
got to telling you, I called, they ain't gonna come. I called the sheriff, Farley, to come up. No, didn't show up.
Well, you know,
You all can have this stuff. I'll leave the county. No, you may think I'm wrong. I'm not wrong.
Well, no, I just
This is
said, the
saying-
things you're saying to me,
This is saying-
you know, are wrong, you've been done wrong. But we
This
don't
is-
handle those things, you know.
Right up here is supposed to handle. What I got from the prosecuting attorney, I talked to him about my family and he wrote David J. down. Well, I don't know what your deal is. Or maybe it's not your office here. But there's a lot of money in a case like an estate variance. There's a lot of money up there when somebody like the person is up there taking land and I can't do nothing about it. He's got 100 people. I'm only one man. So it just continues. Come look at my driveway back on the hill. I had a beautiful place. I started for a quarter a day with Glenda Connor and working in tobacco for a quarter a day. Not because my dad didn't work, but because I wanted to do string tobacco to make a quarter to go up store and buy me a pop and a cake and whatever. And as it went along, $1 a day, went on $2 a day. Time I was 16, you make $10 a day spudding tobacco. You know what? You only got to do that 2 or 3 days in my territory up on Mud River. My grandpa was raised at Sice. He was moved over under the land of Left Fork, a big ugly, paid $1, leased it from the company land for $1 an acre. My dad worked in the mines, state road, logging jobs, and raised 11 kids. And we're all pretty good kids. But, don't push me into something you don't need to.
Dave,
I mean, I'm against this stuff,
hey,
and this too.
I appreciate
I
you
get-
coming by.
This is unreal.
All right.